सोनाली, मेरा आपसे एक सवाल है। सेंटर, आपसे सवाल है कि जैसे देखा जाए कि फिजिकली डिसेबल्ड लोग हैं, उनके इमोशन को या सेक्सुअलिटी को आज भी हमारे देश में टैबू का सब्जेक्ट माना जाता है। तो मैं जानना चाहूँगा, फिल्म बनाने के दौरान कितनी तकलीफ़ों का सामना करना पड़ा, कितने चैलेंजेस आपके सामने आए, कितना रिसर्च किया आपने?
सॉरी, मैं इंग्लिश में मुझे जवाब देना पड़ेगा क्योंकि हमारा ये डिसएडवांटेज है कि हम इस देश में, मैं वैसे मैं बंगाली हूँ और तो हिंदी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, और फिर अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारा एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हमें इतना कॉलोनाइज करते हैं कि अंग्रेजी ज़्यादा साफ आती है। तो उसके लिए आई एम सो जेलस ऑफ प्रसून एंड आमिर दैट खड़ाखट सो नाइसली दे कैन आंसर इन हिंदी। एक दिन ऐसा भी होगा मेरे लिए, तो मैं इंग्लिश में जवाब दूंगी कि मेरा एक, for me the biggest learning was growing up with my sister Malini, who's just 1 year younger than me. And when we were teenagers, I remember that I felt very conscious that I couldn't date anybody because she was more romantic than me, and she always wanted to fall in love and was always surprised when men looked at her that they weren't actually in love with her just because they were being kind to her, and it broke my heart more than it broke hers. And I was like, I can't date anybody because she's the one who wants to date somebody more. And then, you know, I went to America to study and moved on in life and forgot about that. And when I was 40 and she was 39, we had met in London. We were having a drink together. And, you know, the title actually, just to divert for a second, when I was writing the first draft of the film, at the end of writing that draft, it just came up with this title, Margarita with a Straw. And one of the reasons is that Malini has always outdrunk me. This is one of the myths we also have about the disabled. You don't think that the disabled can have a drink, you know, leave alone have sex. And she's always outdrunk me. And when we'd go out drinking, and I would, actually I'm not a big drinker, I would say, हाँ, एक नींबू पानी और एक whiskey soda, इस plastic cup में whiskey soda डालना, वो straw के साथ. Because you don't have really grown up nice cups for the disabled, so then these plastic children's sippy cups. And the thought came to me, and you need a straw because otherwise she can't sip it. And so the idea came to me that a drink with a straw, and I came up with Margarita because my son said, you know, don't say this in public. It's really embarrassing because it's a cliche, but I'm going to say it. But basically, you know, when life hands you lemons, you can be bitter and sour, or you can make lemon juice. And in my case, I made a margarita when life handed me lemons and raised a toast. But Malini and I were having a margarita, and I said, Malini, what do you want for your 40th birthday? It's the best birthday ever. And she said, and sometimes her speech comes out crystal clear, and this was one of those moments. And she said, I just want to have sex. And it hit me really hard, actually, because I had not thought about my sister's sexuality. And she wrote a brilliant book, One Little Finger, because she typed it with one little finger. And in that book, she actually wrote that it's actually family members and carers who the most overlook the sexuality of the disabled. It made me very conscious as a sister that I had also forgotten that. And that was the spark for me, for the story of looking at the sexuality of the disabled. I didn't really need to research that as much because I've grown up with Malini and many other young people because my entire family has been in the movement for disability. So I knew how they think and feel. It's just I had neglected that to think about that for her, to do something about it. But I was very aware of how it would play out, how I would write it, and how I would actually end up directing it. So I think that part wasn't hard for me at all.
Gentleman from Viacom, a question for you. Yeah.
All right, before we take the question forward, we'll just take the last two questions. Thank you.
What sort of release strategy are you planning for Margarita with a Straw? Because we've seen in the past a movie like Lunchbox. It's become one of the most biggest commercial success internationally. And even in India, it's done exceedingly well because the belief was there. So what sort of release strategy are you having for Margarita with a Straw, both in India as well as abroad?
One word, honesty. I think we're not trying to do anything. We're not trying to change the animal. You know, if it's a giraffe, you're not making it into a penguin. You know, it's a tall animal. It can see itself. It can express itself, and we would present it the way it is. So, you know, there was a thought that, you know, how can we continue with this title? Should we have a Hindi name and so on and so forth? But I think we are placing that entire hope, expectation, and some sort of burden on the audience that we are ready to take this risk. Are you ready to look at this cinema? Are you ready to appreciate this cinema? And I think, therefore, the strategy really reflects that. It's going to be true to the film. It's going to be for the audience that it is meant to be. And I think, to me, the film will speak for itself. And it's the word of mouth which will really drive this. See, I think let's leave that because that's something that gets decided closer to the release. You know, depends on what are the other things in the theaters and so on and so forth. But let's just say that we will take it to anybody and everybody who is the audience for this kind of a film. Yeah.
आमिर आपसे सवाल है कि लाइला को पसंद है मार्गरीटा, वो जाती हैं खरीदने, शॉपकीपर से मांगती हैं. इन जनरल आप कैसे जाते हैं रात में और क्या खरीदना पसंद करते हैं?
इन जनरल मैं कहाँ जाता हूँ? रात को तो मैं घर पे रहता हूँ भैया. रात को तो मैं घर पे ही रहता हूँ.
Kalki, this question for you.
I'm sorry, for French television, Shonali and Aamir, do you think that there are many actresses and actors in Bollywood who are willing to take as much risks as Kalki in a role? As much risk as her?
I don't think though, I find Kalki is unique, but not because she's French. She's really more Indian than me. She's lived in this country longer. She's born in Pondicherry. You know, she's completely Indian to the core. I don't think it's her Frenchness that makes her. I think she's an amazing person. And as an actor, yes, it's very true that Kalki is really willing to push herself, to take risks, but also to do that hard work. Aamir as an actor is also one of those people who, these are actors who we die to direct as directors because they spend months into getting into the skin of a character. So, you know, we're sitting here with three such actors who believe in that kind of work. And I'm very honored and privileged to be sitting with three such talented actors as Shonali, Kalki and Aamir who believe in that kind of work. And I feel as directors, such actors exist in our country. I think what happens with Bollywood is that we don't push the boundaries enough. Directors or, for whatever reason, producers, wrong notions of audiences, don't push those boundaries enough and don't give our actors those challenges that they're up for, I think. And it's a changing time. It's an exciting time to be directors and actors and filmmakers in India.
Kalki,
all right, that will be our last question. Please.
Kalki, Sakhi from Times Now. I want to ask you, Aamir, right here. This is a question for you and Aamir both. You're always, Kalki, you're always trying to push the envelope in terms of whatever projects you're doing. And here, somewhere you're talking about a woman's sexuality. And that topic, somehow, for the nation, has always been controversial with the Nirbhaya rape case, with the rapist coming on board and talking about why, you know, he would rape that girl and he would probably kill her after doing that. And he was justifying his move. For someone like you, who is playing such strong roles on the screen, what do you have to say about that? There's been a huge parliamentary discussion about this as well. It's a big political issue. And somewhere you're trying to, you know, dabble in that space through your roles as well, especially this one. So what would you have to say?
I don't think the two things are related, if you ask me. So no, I don't know how your connection, drawing the connection.
Just talking about a woman's sexuality, you know.
Well, I think the film is actually, that is one of the aspects of the film. The film is many, many things. That's just one of the aspects.
I really don't think there's anything controversial about a woman's sexuality. Really, it's the most basic thing.
No, but with the Nirbhaya rape case,
but that's not this film. About. We're not talking about that.
No, but I want to ask you about that.
That's maybe another time when we're talking about Women's Day, when we're talking about that.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Can we have a round of applause for our panel here? And we'd like to take one last photo up before our panel leaves. Please give them a huge round of applause. Margarita with the straw is going to create waves across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you